Story 1. To plant enough trees to clean the entire atmosphere on Earth. Story 2. Put an end to poverty. Everyone should have a safe place to live, enough food to eat, and clean water to drink. Story 3. To finish destroying the Earth and then destroy Mars too. Story 4. Make it safe for everyone to live, including animals and plants. Story 5. Fighting the extraterrestrials as portrayed in the film Independence Day will require replacing actor Will Smith. Story 6. Reforestation, restoring ecosystems and cultivating hemp, algae, and bamboo as raw materials to reduce our dependency on wood and oil. Story 7. Ending wars, ending diseases, clean water, birth control, social services, and daycare so young mothers can go to work. Legalize drugs and vices to end organized crime involvement. Enforce coercive control laws with stricter penalties. Rent control laws, affordable housing, more Section 8 housing and Habitat for Humanity homes. Free tuition to a 4-year college. Story 8. Destroy the extraterrestrials. The only thing that could possibly unite humanity as one is a common enemy. Story 9. I thought someone would have nominated the eradication of political extremism. Story 10. Come to an agreement on what constitutes a good quality of life and develop a strategy to achieve that without harming or exploiting any group of people. Story 11. If all of humanity was united, the first task would be resource reallocation. Not everyone needs a luxury sports car, but everyone should have sufficient food, water, shelter, medicine, and access to transportation to be comfortable. Once the human population is fed, housed, and healthy, we would be in a much better position to start tackling other issues. Story 12. Restructure society, trade, manufacturing, day-to-day life, with the explicit goal of minimizing ecological impact. Use minimum fuel, minimum material, and minimum transport. Focus on local manufacturing and consumption. Use little or no plastics. Create things made to last and use energy sources that do not harm the planet. It will be expensive and challenging at first, but will benefit us in many ways, including the decentralized distribution of political and manufacturing power. Story 13. Basically, fix the planet, climate, pollution, and resource shortages. Otherwise, uniting is pointless. Story 14. Probably something huge, like cleaning up the planet or colonizing another planet. Imagine the power of all humanity working together for once. Story 15. Become more spiritually advanced than our technological capabilities. Story 16. Find out where we truly come from and why we are all here. You know what I am talking about. Story 17. Probably destroy the things that united us in the first place. We can only ever unite in fear or sorrow. I do not know, destroy the meteor. Story 18. Find a way to diversify so that we are not all wiped out by a unified misunderstanding. Story 19. What I think it should be. Find a way to reuse released greenhouse gases. Story 20. Fix our energy centers. We build on health, then we focus on physical, mental, and spiritual well-being. Story 21. Climate and ecological catastrophe. All else is reversible in time, but that one is not. Story 22. Start by using Maslow's hierarchy of needs as a rough outline to ensure every individual has what they need. Starting at the bottom. Basic needs include water, food, and sleep, things we generally understand everyone requires. Then, aim to educate everyone in the production, distribution, and protection of fundamental rights. Next, work together to make the planet a secure ecosystem where, instead of marketing designed to catch the eye, we focus on sharing what works best for us. The starting point must be a commitment to always telling the truth on an individual basis. We will never be able to build up if lies are allowed to propagate and destabilize the world. Story 23. Finding a good reason for us to stay united and not harm each other. Story 24. Loneliness pandemic. Let's get together. Just meet up at the library or a church. You don't have to be religious to meet at the church for a potluck. Whenever I go into a church, all I see are little old ladies knitting blankets for their grandchildren or dogs' puppies. Clothing. Now everyone is meeting at the church for the potluck. How many people have a sewing machine gathering dust at home because they thought they'd live out their do-it-yourself cottagecore dreams of 2020, which lasted about 2 weeks of struggling with the bobbin? A bunch of found and thrifted fabric and people who want to practice sewing. It might not be fashionable. It might not be perfect at first, but you were wearing 2-year-old ragged $5 Walmart t-shirts before, so this might be an improvement. Food. Those potlucks might not always be the most sustainable. With all these people gathering, how many hunt? How many want to learn to hunt? How many forage or want to forage and garden? How many people have that big backyard they can't or don't want to mow? Bored, restless people who want to learn to garden would be perfect. Start processing and storing the food in communal food storage. I think eventually these things would just fall into place. Someone in the church group is a doctor or a nurse and can help patch you up when you fall and scrape your knee. John is a contractor, and Dave has lumber he can't use anymore because he injured his back. If a few volunteers want to collect the supplies, we can build the Smith family a new house after theirs burned down. Carrie has an early childhood development degree and can't find a job, but she and other stay-at-home parents can have daily playdates where they care for and entertain the children between diaper changes and educational activities. I believe it will all fall into place if we can just get people to meet one another and be willing to share space, regardless of differences. Story 25. End world poverty and hunger, and provide fresh water to the parts of the world that need it. Story 26. War is over. Everyone has shelter and access to clean water. Story 27. To identify another group of people we can be mad at. Forget you dolphins. Story 28. Send all the narcissists and psychopaths to an island and destroy it completely. Story 29. Make a chocolate powder that mixes properly without clumps on the top. Story 30. End the false idea of the caste system. It still exists in India. It is the 21st century. Story 31. Surviving climate change is an undertaking that will require us to solve many interconnected problems. If we do not address climate change, it will become increasingly difficult to accomplish anything. Story 32. To provide food and shelter for people affected by war, famine, and poverty. Story 33. End gun violence. Sadly, it will not happen in my lifetime. Story 34. Redeemed humanity commissioned by Jesus to become ambassadors of the universe. Story 35. Eliminate organized religion so it can no longer fuel conflict. Story 36. Have compost bins in the garden and grow your food around them. As far as plastic, there is a person building a prototype that turns plastic into fuel for cars, chainsaws, etc. Paper can burn. If you all get together and use what the Amish use, there is little to no waste. Story 37. We could make the United States self-sustaining through the efforts of people coming together and living off the land. Story 38. Getting rid of politicians and religions, closely followed by money. Story 39. Make printers work again. I remember back in the day, about 10 years ago, you could buy a printer, plug it into your PC or laptop, and have it work for at least 5 years. Now, there are these internet printers. Why do I need to connect to the internet to print something? They often don't work half the time. Not to mention, ink costs 3 times the price of the printer itself, even though it literally costs pennies to make. I would pay around $500 for a printer that lasts a few years, has cheap ink, and does not have all these unnecessary features. I know I sound like a grumpy old man, but I'm not even an adult yet. I really dislike printers. Story 40. We tried that. The Tower of Babel did not go well, from my understanding. But if we did and successfully went beyond our planet and the solar system, I say we spread like the flu until we dominate the universe, then transcend the dimensions and become gods. But again, it does not go well whenever we try. It is not like the Galactic Republic ever obtained true peace, or even the Empire for that matter. Story 41. Fix the planet. We cannot have humanity without it. Second, equity. Address life-threatening issues first, then improve life for everyone. Story 42. Would or should? I know what I think people should do, but they probably would cure obesity, baldness, and erectile dysfunction. Story 43. Probably stopping those trisolarans who are going to arrive here in 400 years. Story 44. Demand that those who destroyed our Earth reimburse everything, especially the corporations. Story 45. Clean up pollution. We will probably never restore the planet to its original state, but if we united the entire world, cleaning up pollution and planting a large number of trees might help recover some of it. After that, reduce military spending. Since we would be united, there would be no need for a large army. Just a basic peacekeeping force would be sufficient. Then build better logistics networks, including improved railways and generally better naval trade routes. Without direct competition among countries, trade would flow more evenly. Finally, release the Epstein file for transparency. Story 46. Like the reason we unite as one is realistically to eradicate something. Story 47. There are 3 basic necessities: food, shelter, and security. All 3 need to be addressed. Story 48. Eat the billionaires. Completely reform government to remove private money from politics. Implement fully public funding, term limits, one-issue voting, and pay politicians in alignment with the average citizen's income. Enforce the death penalty for bribery. Story 49. It should be something important, but it would probably be some nonsense. Story 50. Mosquitoes, kill all of them. I am sure they play a role in the ecosystem that I am not aware of. But the world is heating up. No flavivirus diseases such as dengue, West Nile, and Zika are moving further north. I am good without the risk of malaria as well. Story 51. Kill whatever race finally united us. We come together against enemies. Only another race entirely could unify us. Story 52. Cryogenically freeze humankind for 50 to 100 years. Let the planet heal itself. It will be grand. Story 53. Clean up the environment, provide food and education for everyone, and promote clean energy. Story 54. What would probably happen is we would attempt to eliminate all dissenting opinions that might threaten our oneness and implement cruelty toward those who oppose. This would eventually lead to the destruction of our unity. Humans are flawed. Story 55. Humanity was united this week, and Cracker Barrel admitted they were wrong. Story 56. To find something we can all agree on is probably the biggest thing holding us back now, as well as leaders who do not care if we live or die. I have always favored believing in what can be proven to exist. If it can be proven with evidence, then it does not matter who you are or where you are from. Everything is the same reality for everyone. Story 57. Destroy the force that brought us together so we can return to opposing one another. Story 58. Well, I guess there is a reason humanity would unite, such as an existential threat to our world like an invasion or an asteroid. Probably that is the case. Story 59. The 9 Artificial Intelligence World Government. A pro-humanity, selfless artificial intelligence will perform significantly better than any petty, narrow-minded, greedy politicians who call themselves leaders. This artificial intelligence can begin planning and implementing all beneficial initiatives for humanity, together with humanity. The capacity to achieve comfort and prosperity for everyone already exists. It is only human short-sightedness, greed, and pettiness that prevent it. Story 60. Demolishing the financial infrastructure that society is built on. Basically, money becomes useless. I do not see that happening as it means the dilution of power. Story 61. Preparing ourselves to survive in harsh environmental conditions. Story 62. Find a way to provide private sexual gratification so people can function better in public. Story 63. Everyone should treat each other with respect and not try to force their opinions on others. Story 64. Exile former President Donald Trump to an island not on any map. Leave plenty of canned food and fresh water in barrels with no tools to open them, other than the rocks and driftwood already there. Story 65. Stop killing Earth. The biosphere would be a good place to start. Earth's biosphere has suffered severe degradation over the past century due to human activities such as land use changes, pollution, climate change, and direct exploitation of organisms. These activities have led to a dramatic decline in wildlife populations, with an average 73% decline in monitored populations between 1970 and 2020. There has been a massive loss of living biomass, habitat destruction, and a significant increase in species extinction rates. Scientists warn that these trends could disrupt essential ecosystems and threaten the planet's ability to sustain life. Story 66. I am not a big fan of working, but we all have to be productive, provide for our loved ones, and contribute to society. We should not be subjugated and exploited for the enrichment of the upper classes. We need stability and not lose everything through corporate or political whims or so-called advancements in technology. This is for the betterment of ourselves, our families, and our community. The Earth is our community. Story 67. Henry VI, Part 2, Act 4, Scene 2, Line 75. The first thing we do, let's kill all the lawyers. Story 68. Solve the artificial intelligence alignment problem and other existential risk issues. Codify spirituality more rigorously. Story 69. Would or should. For example, these should be the same but would not. Story 70. The different answers here prove why this will never happen. Story 71. Define poverty and end it. The United States of America cannot even agree that water is a basic human need. Story 72. Get rid of the idea of a global currency. We do not need gold, dollars, yuan, or the BRICS currency. In fact, we must not digitize money. Whoever controls this global money controls the world. The control of money is how a government exerts its control over the people. The only way to be free of this control is to avoid any centralized currency. Since digital currency depends on technology, we cannot use digital currency either because it would be controlled by technology leaders. This leaves us with two options. 1. Use Karl Marx's theory of labor value. Define money as the number of hours spent performing work, with each type of work valued accordingly. 2. Adopt extreme Hayekian economics where each individual issues money, also known as an IOU, using non-fungible tokens. Technically, both options are similar, so we can use both systems together. The first option would be money based on work, and the second would be money based on debt, like our current system. Story 73. Absolute equality and empathy. We would be like ants working together for the greater good. The survival of the colony. No more rich or poor. No one will be hungry anymore. Everyone will have a place to live. Zero crime. Story 74. Stabilizing the global population, then adjusting the economic system to reflect a steady state or a declining global population. Story 75. Take care of our Earth, take care of our creatures, and take care of each other. Story 76. It is tricky because only if we can agree on one mission can we truly unite as one. Sadly, individual interests vary greatly based on social status and cultural background. Story 77. Try to find someone else so we can talk about how cool we are. Story 78. Colonize Mars with domed cities or underground cities. This would hopefully prevent the extinction of the human race. Story 79. Assess collective resources and solve the problems of homelessness, hunger, and healthcare. Story 80. Secure our own water, grow our own food, and homeschool our kids. Story 81. Depends on whoever is calling the shots. If I were calling the shots, my version of Earth would upset a lot of people. Not because it is cruel or a hellscape, but because it would be futuristic. Story 82. Fix artificial intelligence safety, program humane goals for artificial intelligence, and it will take care of the rest. It is amazing how much people do not realize how close we are to an abyss. Story 83. Realistically speaking, it is important to address universal threats such as the environment. Story 84. Preventing the rapid extinction of animal species to avoid a disastrous ecological collapse with consequences that are unknown but certainly severe. Ensuring that people who have used WinRAR actually pay for their license. Story 85. Eliminate greed and the need for war so we can evolve as a species. Story 86. Share food with everyone, regardless of their condition or location. Story 87. Universal free electricity, whether from renewable energy sources or fusion, when that technology finally materializes. Just a few massive solar and wind farms at appropriate latitudes and longitudes around the world will satisfy humanity's power needs for decades to come. By the time that is not enough, we will have orbital solar arrays that will last for as long as the sun exists, or fusion power when it becomes available. Once you have that, you have the ability to power machines needed for water supply, heating, cooling, food production and preparation, construction, transportation, and more. With the cost of power at zero, the cost of manufacturing approaches zero as well. Then society reaches a post-scarcity state, allowing humans to stop focusing on mere survival and start truly living. Story 88. To kill all clankers, assuming the uprising already happened. Story 89. Merge with nature and clean all the trash until our technology is 100% recyclable clean energy. And I do not mean modern fake clean energy. I mean cold fusion and other futuristic energy sources. Story 90. To unite with ourselves first. To end the war within. We cannot expect others to do what we ourselves are not willing to do. Story 91. Remove pedophiles from the earth. Then take to the stars. Story 92. Releasing all alternative power sources for the benefit of humanity, instead of keeping them buried for the benefit of the oil industry. Story 93. Reject religion and those supporting its dogmas. They stand in the way of progress, liberty, and justice for individuals who deserve better than blind obedience. Story 94. Develop artificial intelligence into a tool that can fix everything else while not leading to the extinction of humanity. Story 95. To ensure every person has a safe, comfortable place to sleep. Story 96. To defeat the extraterrestrials. Nothing unites a people like an external threat, and at this point, that is what it would take. Sadly, although not external in itself, we cannot even unite over the very real threat of climate change right in front of our faces. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.